How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Family. We are back with another FPL video, and today we're actually going to be doing a new series. It's called Highs and Lows. We're going to be taking a look at some of the players that people were interested in transferring in for the game week that we just had, and looking at seeing if they're worth transferring in for the next game week, as well as players that maybe we want to get out of our team because they either did poorly, got injured, that sort of thing. So kind of similar to buy, hold, sell from previously, but looking mainly at the number of transfers in and out on the FPL website. I decided not to do Pep Roulette, which was scheduled for today, because Man City are still in the Champions League, so who knows what their lineup's going to be. And I would say my recommendation would be to stay away from their players. And there may be one on the transfer out list, and he may be in the top 5 of the players that needed to be transferred out by a lot of you managers based on the number of transfers out he's had for this upcoming game week. If you haven't done so already, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can see up-to-date news for FPL and video releases, as well as when we go live over on Twitch. Make sure to follow us over there. We will be doing a deadline stream. There'll be a pinned comment down below letting you know that our next deadline stream is for game week 32, and that's going to be on Friday at 12:30 p.m. EST. So make sure to follow us over there and come join us for that. So without further ado, let's see who we have on the highs and the lows. So it wouldn't make much sense if we didn't start with the man on the thumbnail, Jesse Lingard, a player that I didn't have in my team. I didn't transfer him in, haven't had him for a long time. He's just been consistently scoring more and more and more, and I think it's time that we take notice to that. 14 points in game week 32, a green check mark from me. I think he should be top priority if you have a midfield slot open. He's got Newcastle away, Burnley away in the next 3, and has a great run of fixtures from 35 onwards as well. Just the one blip of Chelsea in there for the remaining fixtures for West Ham. Close to 400k, approximately 395k transfers in for game week 32. He's at 26.6% ownership. That was in the very, very low percentages just a few game weeks ago, but now he's owned by over a quarter of FPL managers, and that's probably going to be increasingly more because of the fact that there are teams that aren't out there that are active, as it were. So he's potentially, probably think maybe double that number, potentially 40 to 50% of active managers. It's pretty much, he's probably one of the most, if not the most, hotly contested FPL asset in the game. He's just scoring from very low XG numbers. He's basically defying stats, which is why someone like myself, someone who's been trying to integrate stats more and more often in their FPL management, have basically seen him as kind of an enigma, as it were. He's not somebody who you would say, oh yeah, you know, Jesse Lingard, he's going to be the one banging in all the goals. It's probably going to be Antonio, maybe some set piece plays. But no, Lingard is literally just taking the mantle. And even last week, I was like, well, do I want to bring him in? Let me just wait and see. Let me see how they do without Antonio, as well as I think they lost one of their center backs as well. Let's see how they do without him. Oh, never mind. Lingard's just fine because him and Bowen link up quite well up front, and they're both quite quick. Let's see how they do this week. Well, I can't really afford that, and I've already brought him in because they're playing Newcastle. Newcastle are quite rubbish, and maybe just barely out of the relegation fight with their win over Burnley. So Jesse Lingard, definitely, I would say to bring him in. He's just defying stats right now. 6.5 for a midfielder. You're not going to get much more of a bargain than that. And I think he's forming one of the big 5 in the template with Bruno Fernandes, Mohamed Salah himself, Jota, and Heung-min Son for game week 32. But I say if you don't have Lingard, a lot of managers are bringing him in. Maybe you should too for game week 32. And probably the other major FPL asset that is hotly contested at the moment is Kalechi Ianacho. He was 5.8 million, I think, just last week, and now he's currently up at 6 million in the forward slot. He gets the green check mark from me as a definite transfer in. It's someone I've been paying attention to, having owned Vardy over the past several weeks, and he seems to have taken up the mantle as the main goal scorer, getting himself 13 points in a very, very close 3-2 loss versus West Ham. Could have potentially nicked it at the very end with Fofana's header. But I think Ianacho is the man that is positioning himself in the center of the pitch where he is getting the big chances. And I think I saw a stat from Big Man Bakar, who is one of the guys that is regularly seen on the FPL Wire podcast. He has a fantastic tweet about the comparison of stats from Gameweek 26 onwards between Ianacho and Vardy, and it's absolutely staggering how Ianacho, being 6 million, can have that much better stats. And we're still saying, oh, but is it Vardy, is it Ianacho? I've already made the switch to Ianacho this week. 352k approximate transfers in for the Nigerian forward, 70 points overall on the season, as he's only really just kind of started playing in the last few game weeks, and he's only 11.6% owned, which I thought was quite low, but with active managers he's probably around the 20%-ish mark, and he just has a sea of green over the next few game weeks. West Brom at home, Crystal Palace at home, Southampton away. The only thing that is a bit sticky this week is the fact that he has to play his FA Cup fixture versus Southampton before he plays his Game Week 32 fixture, meaning that if you wanted to bring him in and put him in your lineup, you have to do so before the deadline for Game Week 32, and then you have to watch him and hope that he doesn't get injured during the FA Cup fixture. Although I think Leicester can probably rest a couple of players and still handily beat Southampton, who are in just a bad run of form at the moment. But Ianacho definitely was on the transfer watch list. I would say with the amount of managers bringing him in, he seems like a no-brainer. Even a downgrade from a Jamie Vardy just frees up so much funds. Just a fantastic FPL asset for the rest of the season. Now moving on to the players that are going to get the red X and be ones to be thinking about being transferred out if you haven't done so already. And the first up on our list is a Man City asset, someone who we've had for quite a while in our teams, most likely, is Ilkay Gundogan, 5.9 million midfielder, already starting to drop in price. Only got the 1 point off the bench in Game Week 32, and over 216,000, close to 217,000 managers have transferred Gundogan out for this game week. He has 143 points overall, and he's done quite well, and he's still fairly highly owned, close to 30% ownership. But over the next three, Aston Villa away, may not play in it, as City have already gone through to the semi-finals in the Champions League and have an important cup fixture coming up versus Spurs in the Carabao Cup in Game Week 33, which is why Ilkay Gundogan will blank. They also still have an FA Cup fixture versus Chelsea on the weekend that has to be played, so that could be, somewhat of a consideration for Gundogan to play in that. He'll play in back-to-back games, and then maybe he gets rested. Crystal Palace away, again, I think they're still going to be focusing on the Champions League because they have PSG in the next round. I just can't see any guaranteed minutes from any Man City assets, especially outfield players. Edison's probably a lock in there. Even defenders now we're starting to question, as Diaz was rested in the last game week. So I would say until City have knocked out of the Champions League, if they were to get knocked out of the Champions League or they were to make it to the final, I would say even then there's still a rotation risk, as we know that they always are with Pep Roulette. But I would steer clear of City attackers at the moment. Some of their fixtures warrant potentially, some big returns. Maybe Aston Villa, maybe Crystal Palace, and some of the few games they have at the end of the season. But with the blank in 33, I wouldn't be jumping on any City assets at the moment. If you have Gundogan, I would say he'd be one of the first names to potentially leave if I had three City players, because he's the kind of one of their key men that seems to be, playing in the big games now, and he's just not going to be playing in the Premier League at all. So I would say Ilkay Gundogan, definitely follow suit with the managers that have transferred him out already, as it is a large number, and I would say transfer him out for Game Week 32. And the other player that I would suggest transferring out is Pedro Neto. He is red flagged in FPL after suffering a knee injury after playing 30 minutes versus Fulham in Game Week 31, only getting the 1 point for himself. And it is believed that he is going to be done for the season, which is a shame, because if you look at the fixtures that he has coming up, Sheffield United at home, Burnley at home, West Brom away, it is fantastic fixtures for Wolves and potentially able to climb up the table to have a bit more of a mid-table finish rather than being closer to the bottom quarter of the table. He was 5.7 million, so a lot of people got him as that cheap, like 4th or 5th enabler midfield on their Game Week 31 wildcards. And managers across the game, 123k of them, have decided to get rid of him this week. He's only 7.3% owned, so that number is probably going to plummet very, very quickly. And it was in a Wolves team where he was basically the main guy, the main creator. And it's not like we can just kind of pick somebody else over there. Adama Traore is slightly more expensive and very inconsistent. And with Neto out, you would think that their overall output is going to be a lot worse. So I would say steer clear of just Wolves' attack in general. Their defense is probably what is going to be looked at. Maybe a potential double up, especially for these types of fixtures. And I think that Wolves are more of a defense team first, typically playing 3 at the back in most cases, especially with Willy Bolly as potentially coming back as well for this game week. So I think it's definitely defense only for Wolves and not much going on in attack. So if you were to have Neto in your team, I'd say get in Lingard, get in Jota, get in Rafinha, get in somebody in that bracket if you can, because Neto is going to be out most likely for the remainder of the season. So if you have that transfer, definitely use it now. Not many game weeks left, and Neto's not going to play in part of any of them for the rest of this season. And that's going to do it for the debut of the high and low series, the highs and lows of the transfers for Game Week 31, moving into Game Week 32. If you haven't done so already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new or haven't done so already. We want to see if we can hit 2,000 subscribers. I know it's a bit ambitious, but I want to see if we can do it by the end of the season. And also turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And drop us a follow over on Twitter so you can keep up to date with all the FPL news and content that comes out on any of our platforms. And drop us a follow over on Twitch so that you can come join us for our live streams, for our previews and deadline streams. We will be doing a deadline stream this game week on Friday, 1 hour before the FPL deadline. There'll be a pinned comment down below to let you know the details on that. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.